From a defensive coordinator's vantage point, what's it like to have a versatile chess piece like Isaiah Simmons? And then the second part of that, initially, where do you plan to line him up and how will you use him all over the field?
Well, your first question, it's a good piece to have. Obviously, with the new NFL offenses, everything's so lateral. The tight end's such a big part of what they're doing in the pass game. It's mostly 3 wides, 1 back sets. So having a guy with his length and his speed, is always critical. To have more chase players on the field, to chase the ball left and right, and obviously to cover tight ends. So his skill set is out of this world. He's played outside backer, he's played inside backer, he's played a little bit of corner and safety. So obviously, he's a guy that can solve problems for us. And with his speed and length, he can be an eraser when bad plays happen. The more speed you have, the more guys who can erase bad plays for you on Sundays, it's always important pieces. Your second question, where's he going to line up? He's going to be a linebacker in a dime in our sub package, but we drafted this guy because of what we saw him do at Clemson. So the things he did there, he's going to do for us also, as far as covering tight ends. And again, he's going to be a problem solver. So obviously each game plan is different. And as problems come along and he can solve them for us, he would definitely be a candidate to do those things for us. But he's a bright guy. When you interview this guy and you kind of go through how Clemson used him and how he learned every position, it's an amazing story, when he tells it to you. He memorized every game plan weekly, and by call, he knew where to go and what his assignments were. So that speaks to his football IQ. Obviously, his physical skills show, but his football IQ is very, very high.
Hey, Vance, Bob McManaman, nice to see you, man.
Hey, Bob, I'm here.
I wanted to ask you if you feel under pressure, not only with Isaiah, but all the other defensive pieces Steve has given you. Coming off last year, as rough as it was statistically, how much pressure is on Vance Joseph going into the season?
Well, it's always pressure, and it's pressure for me. I want to be the best, obviously, and I want us to play top 10 defense, and the pressure is always there, but the pressure is always solved with having 4 draft picks here and having your 2 corners, start week 1 for you. So everyone feels pressure in this business, but that's part of it. That's why they sign you up for the big jobs. So I'm looking forward to the season. Obviously last year we had some rough moments, but I thought the last month and a half of the season we got better. So that was definitely a positive note to finish on. And obviously most of those guys are back. We've added some pieces and we've got our corners out the gate. So we should be a lot better, but every season's different. We have to get through the off season, we have to get through camp, and we have to go prove it. So nothing's guaranteed, but the pressure is always there. I have no problem with the pressure. That's part of coaching in the biggest football league in the world. So I'm looking forward to it.
Vance, a couple quick things. It's good to see you. One with Isaiah, you mentioned how smart he was. Did you know his intelligence coming in, and how much of his rise as a football player is about his intelligence, maybe more than the physical? And then the other part just would be, I'm sure you guys had a million conversations about what you guys were going to do in the offseason. Are you pleasantly surprised with how many pieces have been added to this defense, or did you pretty much know that was where you guys were going to go?
Okay. Well, your first question with Isaiah, we had a combine meeting with him, and that was for 15 minutes. But after the combine, we got a chance to have a bunch of Zoom calls with him. Obviously, calling the coaches and researching those guys there. Brinston Buckner played at Clemson. One of Steve Kine's college coaches is the O-line coach at Clemson. Cliff and I both know Coach Venables. So, we called on this guy a lot, and everyone we talked to, the first thing they mentioned was his football IQ. Outside of him being 6'3" and ran 4.3 at the combine, and you watch him cover ground on the football field, you watch him tackle, you watch him pick off balls. It was amazing film to watch, because you couldn't find him some of the times. I mean, you couldn't watch the film. You watch 100 snaps. I mean, he's probably aligned at 5 different positions. So like most players, when you're doing your study, you can kind of zoom in on one position and watch that guy play 5 games. But with Simmons, it was tough to find him sometimes, and that speaks to his football IQ on top of his physical traits, so he couldn't do that many jobs with that much success if he wasn't intelligent. And again, when you ask him about how he learned the game plan from Coach Venables each week, it was amazing, how he knew each game plan weekly was different, but he learned his assignment and where to line up for players. It's always difficult when it's different each week, but he learned those things each week differently and had great success. As far as adding pieces here, I knew Steve was going to add pieces to our defense. Obviously we're a young football team all around, and anytime you're drafting for the Cardinals, not just for offense or defense. But I was happy he added these 4 pieces, and the 4 pieces he added, you got 4 guys who were captains. You got 4 guys who played a bunch of football. I think 3 guys were exact seniors. So that's always a good thing to have. Guys who played a lot of football, guys who can walk in and play right away. Evan Weaver from Cal was the Pac-12 player of the year as a Mike backer. Before I watched Weaver, I had no idea who he was. I get my list of guys to watch from the scouts, and I just press play. I don't want to know their background. I don't want to know, what they accomplished. And I pressed play, and I came away with a really good football player. Not knowing he was the Pac-12 player of the year. I watched Lucky Fotu at Utah, a huge man with great movement. I mean, he was on the USA rugby team as a 14, 15-year-old, but he's a huge man that's got some lateral quickness, that loves the play, who's tough-minded, and who played on a dominant defense, right? Then you add Rashad Lawrence from LSU. Coach Orgeron called me personally about Lawrence. So we were tracking him for the whole draft. I mean, he was one of Coach Orgeron's favorite players as a team leader, as a worker, as a technician. And Coach O coaches D-line for a living. So he knows what it looks like, and obviously Isaiah. So to add 4 pieces like that, four mature guys, 4 guys with high football IQs, high character. So I commend Steve and his staff for going out and finding great fits as football players, but better yet, great people. So I'm excited to coach these guys, and again, with the maturity these guys bring, they're going to help us win games early.
Next 3 questions: Craig Fooey, Kyle Odegaard, Jess Root.
Hey, Vance, Craig Fooey, ABC 15. When we hear Steve Keim say, over here the last weekend that I vowed to fix this defense, do you feel like through free agency, and not just the draft, but through free agency, he's done exactly those things? He's definitely helped us. He's given us some pieces that we needed. We needed a defensive lineman in free agency, and we went out and signed Jordan Phillips. Jordan I had in Miami as a young guy out of Oklahoma, and Jordan had his best year as a pro this year. I think he had 9 or 10 sacks, and he played on a really, really good defense in Buffalo. And Jordan's looking forward to getting better. I think Jordan has not hit his ceiling yet, and I mean he's looking to prove everyone wrong that he can be a top 10, top 15 D lineman. Obviously his physical stature is immense. I mean he's 6'7", he's 340 pounds, and he's a dancing bear. So hopefully his better years are ahead of him. I'm excited to have Coach Buckner coaching him. That was one of the reasons that Jordan joined us, because he wanted to play for Coach Buckner, and that's going to be a nice addition for us. Obviously Kennard is a guy I've been watching for 4 or 5 years as a Sam backer. I mean he's ideal. I mean he's heavy-handed versus the run game. I mean he's a dominant run stopper. He's averaged 7 sacks a year as a dropper. So he should be hopefully better than that for us, but a smart, tough football player that's going to be accountable every snap for us. And then Campbell, Campbell was our top guy in free agency that we thought we couldn't get because of, his money was going to be so big, but he came back to us and took a 1-year deal just to prove himself. So I thought those 3 additions in free agency definitely kickstarted our defense getting better. All 3 guys have played on really good defense. They all bring size and speed and toughness to our defense, and that's what we're looking for.
Vance, there's so much emphasis on the passing game now. Do you think that actually helped you guys with a guy like Lecky, where talent-wise maybe he could have gone higher, but because he's more of a run-stuffing type guy, you got pretty good value in somebody like that?
Yeah, I think when you look at Lucky's size, everyone assumes that he's a run stopper. But the scheme they played at Utah, he was really coached to keep the linebackers clean. So he's in more of a square stance. He's more catching blocks, and he's just eating gaps. But when you watch this guy move and run, I think once you put him into an attack stance and allow him to go vertical and to be disruptive, he's going to be also a pretty good pass rusher, as far as pushing the pocket. But I do think, most teams, when they watch this tape, they assume he was a run stopper or a nose guard. But this guy, he's going to play across the board for us, nose, three technique, and the 4 and the 5 for us. So, when we watch his tape, it was really good football as far as the movement from a big guy and how hard he played too. It's hard to find big guys with those kind of motors, that play that way every snap, because big guys get tired, but this guy plays hard every snap. I think his rugby background kind of speaks to his movement and why he runs so well.
And you have a lot of new faces up front, but everyone in the backfield, the defensive backfield is returning. What confidence do you have in the guys that are coming back, and what do you expect and hope to see, especially from the second-year guys in Byron and Jalen and Deontay?
Yes, our secondary is all back, which is a good thing, and I think having Patrick week 1 and having Robert back healthy week 1, that's going to help us. It was really tough on our young guys and our reserve corners to go out there and try to defend themselves early versus really good teams early. So having Patrick and having Robert, that's going to be a plus for us. I thought Budda Baker had a hell of a year last year. Okay, and obviously he made the Pro Bowl. He made the Pro Bowl without making one interception. So I think he has room to grow. As a high safety and as a quarters guy. I thought Jalen Thompson last year in the last month of the season, month and a half of the season, played really good football. As our defense played better, he played better. And again, Jalen's first day with us was the first day of camp. So, his learning kind of occurred all season. So up to week 13, 14, he's learning the defense. But he obviously played good football late for us. He's a great open field tackler, and he's going to play the ball better. I think with DT, playing some last year and getting his feet wet at the dime spot and at the safety spot, he's going to come back and play better. So, we had a young secondary last year with obviously Murphy playing the most snaps of any rookie defensive back in the whole league. So that's going to pay dividends. And last year I thought he got worn down a little bit. He played his best ball early and kind of, sloughed off late. But I think what he did last year as far as playing that many reps is going to benefit him this year. So I'm looking forward to those young guys taking huge steps, and obviously having our 2 starting corners week 1 is going to be a help.
Next 3 questions: David Brandt, Scott Bordeaux, Howard Balzer.
Hey, Vance. I know, Simmons, obviously a lot of the pull of him is how versatile he is, and you talked about how he lined up at like 5 different spots. Is that huge versatility possible in the NFL, or would you like to concentrate on 2 or 3 things, pare it down at least a little?
That's a great question. I think some of it is. I think some of it's not. It's the best players in the world. And, these receivers now, you watch the draft on the weekend. Receivers are getting drafted like no one's business. It's a passing league. And the quarterbacks come in now, they can all throw it. It's a lateral, it's a speed game. It's a 3 wide receiver game. So some of the things he did at Clemson, I think is realistic, but some things won't be. He's going to be a linebacker for us. He's going to have some special roles versus certain opponents that we play, but I can't guarantee he's going to play corner for us or play safety for us full time. But again, he's a 6'4" guy. He ran 4.3. He's got great lateral quickness. He's so long. He can make up the lack of some quickness with his length. I wouldn't bet against him, but I think what he did at Clemson, some of it would translate and some of it won't.
Vance, that said, even if you pare down his duties a little bit, we always talk about how the offense is trying to deceive a defense with other formations and get your eyes going one way. With a guy like Isaiah, can you use him in a way where you can deceive the offense because they won't know exactly where he's going to line up from play to play or what he may be doing?
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially on passing downs or sub downs, right? I mean, he's a guy who can stand up on the edge and rush as an outside backer. He can obviously cover tight ends. He can obviously walk over the slot as a nickel type of player. So yes, you know, when they're counting the box, and we've got Hassan Reddick out there, we got Isaiah out there, we got Campbell, we got Jordan, we've got Chandler, we've got Jordan Phillips. They have to declare, you know, who's the fourth down going to be, you know, and with a guy like Isaiah being his size and his speed, his length, and I'm not sure how they're going to see him. You know, is he an outside backer? Is he an off the ball backer? Especially when you add to a package, you know, with three guys out there like Campbell, Jordan, and Isaiah. You know, who's the fourth rusher in that group? I can't tell you, you know, how they see it, but that could be deceiving for an offensive line to kind of determine who's going to be the fourth rusher.
Hey, Vance, Howard Balzer from SI.com. You mentioned with Lucky all the different things you can do. Overall, with him and Richard and Jordan and guys coming back, how much flexibility do you think this gives you with your down linemen, not only in base but also packages?
It helps, you know. It helps to have guys who can do different jobs, you know, and not forgetting about Zach Allen that we took last year, who's a 6'4", 6'5" guy who can rush off the edge also. You know, so when you make weapons, you know, and it's our job to find the best fit for all these players. But it's good to have players that have versatility. You know, we've got a bunch of linebackers who can rush and cover now, and that's a great weapon to have versus Kittle and those guys in the conference. I mean, tight ends last year, obviously, guys gave us fits. You guys ask me every week about the tight end and what scheme we're going to use for the tight end. Well, we've got Campbell, we've got Isaiah now, so hopefully that scheme works. You know, having guys who can match those big tight ends. So yes, I mean, it's always good to have guys who can do multiple jobs. You know, because it gives you obviously great depth on game day, and it also gives you a chance to scheme for guys to get more one-on-ones.
We'll wrap it up with final two questions. Bob McManaman and Kyle Odegaard.
Hey, Vance, I talked to a lot of people in the league about this. Is Isaiah a pass rusher or is he a blitzer? And on top of that, why can't you pair him at strong safety with Buda given his speed?
Well, your first question, is he a pass rusher or a blitzer? I think he can do both. I think a pass rusher, that's more of what Chandler does every down. But I've seen him pass rush, you know, and obviously when you're a blitzer, you have to have some kind of pass rushing technique, because if they have a blocker for you, which in this league they probably will most of the time, unless they make a mistake, you have to have some technique to make moves and use your hands and flip your hips to be a pass rusher. I've seen him do that. I've also seen him rush, you know, when he's clean and it's a quarterback, you know, standing in the pocket clean. I mean, he can finish on quarterbacks. I've seen him also beat backs and tight ends one-on-one as a pass rusher. So he's both. I mean, when you're that tall and long with that kind of burst, you know, being a blitzer or a pass rusher, it's kind of one of the same. As far as Isaiah playing some strong safety, hey, it's very possible. It's very possible. You know, we play a team in our division that plays with a fullback and an all-pro tight end. So, you know, we can have a package there where he can walk down over Kittle and be a strong safety. So with this kid's skill set, you know, I mean, he can do a lot of things, but until we touch him, until we game plan, I can't guarantee you where he's going to be. But I know he's very intelligent. I know he's very tall and long, and he runs 4.3. He's got ball skills, and he's tough. So if it's a job that we think he can do, you know, we will put him out there. That's why he was drafted. You know, I don't want to bring Isaiah here and kind of know it down. I want Isaiah to be Isaiah. What we saw him do on Clemson tape, I want to do all those things if possible. Okay, and if they're not possible, you know, we'll move on somewhere else. But if they're possible, we're going to use him, you know, to win games, and obviously, again, to be a problem solver for us and to be an eraser on our defense.
Vance, I know your brother coaches on the offensive side of the ball at LSU, but having that insight into Richard and him seeing him daily, did that help in the process?
Absolutely. I mean, Richard was a fourth round pick. Okay, they had 15 guys drafted. They had 5 in the first round. But if you ask any player on LSU's team, from Joe Burrow down to Moss, all those guys, which player you would want to go to war with, it's always Lawrence. I mean, he was a team captain amongst 15 drafted NFL players, and he's been a team cap for 3 years. That's hard to do in Baton Rouge with so many alpha males. But everyone in Baton Rouge spoke highly about this guy. I mean, he's a graduate. He's a 3.4 student. He's a mature, grown man. So he's going to walk in day one and help us win football games. And he was a guy that we tracked from the combine to the draft. So again, kudos to Steve and his staff, for making this thing happen.